You're listening to the Radcast, a top 25 worldwide business podcast. If it's radical, we cover it. Here's your host, Ryan Alford.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the latest edition of the Radcast. I'm Ryan Alford, your host, your number one business and marketing show on Apple Podcasts. We appreciate that. Wherever, whenever, however you're listening, we say if it's radical, we cover it. And anytime I get friends and anyone associated with Clemson on the show because they're kicking ass and taking names, I get even more excited. I got my good friend Gramlich Mac Lain. He's a college football analyst with ESPN and the ACC Network, and of course the co-host of the Gramlich Mac Lain Podcast. What's up, Eric?
Brother, listen, here's the deal. When I got the message to come on this show, I knew I'd made it. First Take, ESPN, College Game Day, throw all that to the side. This is where I wanted to be, brother. So jacked up to be with you today. Appreciate you having me, and excited to jump into a bunch of different things.
Hey, man, it's my pleasure, and I appreciate that. At the end of the day, it's been fun watching your growth on TV, on the show with Kelly, from days at CCP. And, but look, at the days at Clemson, you being a big recruit, and I watched your whole career unfold there. You were a rock in some of the glory days at Clemson. We've talked about that. We won't hone in too hard. We're having a little bit of a struggle this year, but but it's been great. I've loved watching your growth. And look, dude, you're fucking killing it on TV. I love it, man. You look great. I'm sitting there watching my boy. We were watching you on Saturday. I was sitting there with Nicole, and I'm like, Eric's coming on the show. So she's like, oh, really? And I'm like, she's like, he does a great job. I'm like, yeah, he does do a good job.
Nicole, let's go.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome. It's been so fun, man. I mean, the journey and the people I work with, I know we'll get into all that, but it has been a true blessing, man. And cannot be more excited, more thankful, more grateful for where I am, and excited to chop it up with you today.
Yeah, man. Well, let's set the table for everybody, Eric. Eric's, don't let him be humble. He was a big time college athlete, and but I want him to tell you his story, and then we'll get into that the game's changed a lot. Those few years, it hadn't been long since you left, Eric, but we'll get into it. I want to talk NIL, some of the business stuff, but let's set the table and let you kind of give a little bit of that backstory for everybody.
Yeah, no doubt, man. You're absolutely right. The game, it feels like I played 100 years ago. Not 8 or 9, whatever it's been, getting closer to 10 by the day. But so it's funny, man. My whole life, I grew up wanting to be a basketball guy. It was my first love, my true love, and just had such a knack for the sport. I'm a shooter. I love to flick that thing, and just stay on the court. I mean, for hours. I mean, my brother and friends and family members, that's all we would do growing up. Don't come home till the lights are off. The sun goes down because we're out shooting hoops. And it was funny in a world now where I feel like everybody is so specialized. Like you kind of pick. That choice was kind of made for me because I always had aspirations to try to make it not just to college, which is obviously a big deal, and to have your school paid for and the doors that'll open, but professionally, I just always felt like that was my thing. I was going to do that, and thought it'd be at the NBA. And it was funny. In high school, I stopped growing this way and started going out and started getting muscle and these type of things. So I was like, basketball, this might be the end of the road. Varsity basketball might be the top for me. And so it was funny, that decision kind of made, and then you really hone in on your sport, and obviously that's the future. So you give it so much attention and love and dedication. And, for me, that was football. So, really my junior year of high school is when we started cranking that way up. But I do have to go back a couple of years because I grew up a Tennessee fan. Volunteers, any Vols listening, that's where I always wanted to go. Peyton Manning, Coach Fulmer, Eric Berry, all these guys. And most of my family went to Tennessee. So it was really normal for me to want to do that. And actually received a scholarship and committed as a 9th grader in high school to Tennessee to play football. Fast forward, Philip Fulmer gets fired. Fast forward even more, Lane Kiffin comes in, and it just was such a culture shock. It was so different that I didn't want any part of it. And it broke my heart because that's where I want to go my whole life. Run out of the T, be in Knoxville, do all these things. And it just so happens, talk about relationships and communicating all these different things in the business world that are so applicable. I got a crash course of that as a 15-year-old kid because one of the coaches that was on staff to Tennessee that I'd known for a long time, got hired by Clemson, by Coach Dabo Swinney. His name's Dan Brooks, was one of the best defensive line coaches ever. And so after I decommitted, he hits me up and he says, "Hey, Big Mac, it's Dan, it's Coach Brooks. And I'm at Clemson now." I was like, "Coach, what's up?" This is all I hadn't heard from him. He was very respectful, did not hit me up until after I had decommitted. And he's like, "Oh, I'm at Clemson, da-da-da." I'm like, Clemson? I legitimately, Ryan, had no clue what or where Clemson was. Had zero clue. I grew up in SEC country. My grandmother and her side of the family went to Alabama. Her husband and my mom and all of them went to Tennessee. That's
oh my God. I did not know that about you, Eric. I didn't remember that. Maybe we had that discussion, but because you always seemed like a Clemson guy. When I first met you, I'm like, this is a Clemson man right here.
Adopted quick.
Yeah.
And so he's telling me that, and he's like, "Oh, come check it out." And I'm like, "Where is it? What do you all these different things?" He's like, "Well, we're in South Carolina. We're in the ACC." And I said, "Whoa, no, heck no. Like, I'm not doing that." And which is so comical now looking back at it all. And so finally, fast forward a year almost, he hits me up again. He says, "Just come by and visit. I think you'll like what you see." So now I'm going into my senior year, kind of the end of my junior year. And we do it. We go and see it. And, we're coming off the highway 85 on 19B right there. We're seeing the paw prints, the sun setting. So, it's purple and orange. I'm like, where the heck are we? This is crazy. This is perfect.
Yeah.
And, it's just this dream situation. Well, all the other schools that I had been to are in these big cities. It's when you look at, like Columbus and Knoxville, and Auburn's pretty similar, but all these different schools, there's these big cities kind of around there. Clemson, it's farm town, you know what I'm saying? And little towns. And so we're passing like this sunflower patch right on perimeter, and we're looking at the TomTom, the GPS, whatever. And it says you're a minute away. I'm like, where is a stadium about to come out of here? And I'm just talking about it right now. But when you make that turn on perimeter, and then Death Valley just rips out of those trees, man. And I'm just like, whoa, this is cool. Like, this is nuts. And it's obviously a big stadium. And then I meet Coach Swinney. And, I mean, you talk about a no-name guy, never been a coordinator, was a head coach for maybe a half the season and was in the midst of a losing season, something of that nature. And so had no type of, oh, my God, that's Dabo type thing yet. And but when I met him, man, in the passion, the enthusiasm, the genuine love for his players in the game of football, I was like, this is different. This is different from anything I had ever seen before. And it was so infectious, man, that literally in a 2-day span, I was like, I'll do anything for that guy. Like, I want to play for him right now. And so it's so comical to me that we think that we have our plan and God kind of has his plan. And I never even knew where this place was, man. And in an instant, I knew I wanted to spend the rest of my life there. And it was so powerful just to have that kind of conviction and to know that guy, and then to see where it grew and went on. So, the rest is kind of history with that. But it's a wild story how I even got to start, at Clemson University.
Yeah, and it's crazy because, I mean, you started as tight end, right? Then you go tight,
right. Little wiener when I came to campus.
Yeah. Tight end, catch them. They could block, catch the
That's
balls.
Right. Got these big paws.
Yeah. You're gonna catch some balls, and then go on to be a pretty dominant O lineman before it was all said and done. What was your last year at Clemson?
15.
Yeah, 15.
So I got the silver medal. Which is brutal, man. Brutal,
dude, you needed one more year. Where's your COVID year or whatever you needed?
Year,
yeah.
Dude, God, I was just before my time and everything I did at Clemson, man.
Yeah. If you're listening, Clemson won the national title in 2016. So that table got set by Eric Mac Lain, so
I like to tell myself that at least.
I'll spread that story, we'll go with it.
That's right.
Yeah. What was, all right, let's, we'll close out the Clemson years, but what's like one of the most memorable games, memorable moments, what sticks in your head? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of different things, but like, is there like a moment, a game, or something that just when you get asked this question now, it like pops to the top?
There's two. There are two, and one is obviously that national championship game. Losing to Alabama.
Yep.
Just because we got there, right? We got to the mountaintop, and it was something that I think every little kid dreams about as they're running around playing in their backyard, of playing in a national championship, winning it, hopefully. And for us just to do what we did at Clemson and to get to that mountain and to change the culture and what we had done the previous years to get there was just special. And something that we always thought was possible. That's why my 2011 class came there and really was kind of that building block. A lot of those guys, what we were able to do on top of who Alabama was and what they were doing. I mean, you're talking about peak dominance. I mean, these guys had just been wrecking people, winning all these national championships. And we went into the game as heavy underdogs. And I remember reading and hearing all the talk about how our offensive line was going to get just destroyed. And of course, being an offensive lineman, you take that very personal. And, we dominated. And I just knew that, going into the game, it was like, Ryan, if I make one mistake, if I step the wrong way, I'm going to get abused by this guy. Like, I'm going to get absolutely ruined. So it just made you play so much better. I think that was my best game by far, too. Just kind of all that on the line there. And, just being there in the last one ever was truly amazing. On a more positive note, my other favorite is that Notre Dame game. Pretty personal game for me. That's where my father is from up there. He grew up a Golden Domer, loved Notre Dame. And, a lot of our family members either love them or hate them that are up there because it's kind of 50-50. And so once I knew they were on the schedule and it was my senior year, I was like, this is going to be a party.
BYOG, baby.
Hurricane.
Was that BYOG? Right. Okay.
It's all of it. It's all of it. And the hurricane, everything that had, to do with, I mean, South Carolina was in a state of emergency.
Yeah.
Nikki Haley said Clemson's playing ball.
Oh,
all right, we're
I was sitting in the stands. I've never been more wet in my entire life. I didn't get up the entire
your boots
time.
Are still soaked, man.
Oh, dude, my rain gear has never been the same. But I sat there and cheered you on. I was like,
that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So that one was a lot of fun, and just the way it ended. I mean, a goal line stand, and I've got this really cool picture of just me and my brother. My brother played on the team as well, walk-on wide receiver, of us just embracing on the field. So just a lot of great memories from that one.
Oh, yeah. Ben Boulware and company making the stop there on the goal line. That was memorable, and God, a nasty game. I've never been so happy and miserable in my whole life.
That's right.
But if we'd have lost, I was sitting there going, I don't know that I let it creep in my head. I think I thought about it after. I was like, I was in elation and happy, but I've been soaked for 4 hours or 5 hours, if we had lost, wow, this would really have stunk. To have sat in this rain. But God, that's what a fan does.
And what's funny about sitting there? You talk about being there for 5 hours. We knew all day leading up to it that it was going to be bad, like raining and horrible, and the state of emergency announcement, all these things. So we fully expected to come around that stadium and it'd be like half full. And brother, that was not even close to the case. No, we got even more people there. And I think the rain just juiced y'all up. That was one of the craziest loud games I'd ever been a part of. It was nuts.
It was completely nuts. And I was actually there with my father-in-law, Nicole's dad. And we were the two sitting there, and we were just sitting there buttoned up, let's look, we're staring at each other like – it was just because you've gone to those games where it sprinkles or whatever, and it's just dumping rain the entire time. But BYOG, that was one of Dabo's favorite quotes. Bring your own guts, baby.
I actually got it right here. I got a prop. This was unprompted, but I got it right here on my desk.
Yes,
always
boom.
There.
I love it. But hey, man, I mean it's been a whirlwind. You're badass at Clemson. You set the table for the national title or 2016. Yeah. Now, I mean, you're a big dog. You're at ACC Network on TV. You got your own podcast. I'm like, my boy's like, dog grows up. He's making it. So, what's that been like, man? What's the professional journey been like, kind of getting to this point?
Yeah, no, it was crazy, man. Because I talk about those pro aspirations and something that really, my whole career, I still thought would happen. Even changing positions and playing a position I'd never played in my life, and then thinking, okay, you're going to go to the NFL and do this. I never had a doubt that I would, and kind of make that next step. But like I said, there are different plans that happen, and so right after I start training and go and do all the different things and don't get picked up in the draft, which was brutal. I don't know if you've ever talked to anybody that's never been drafted.
Yeah.
But you get your whole family there. You're at the house. People are, and I'm hearing stuff like I'm thinking it's going to happen. And, you got everybody there, man. And there is nothing more like embarrassing, saddening, make you angry, like all these different things, because that phone don't ring. And all those people are just like, now what? We just were with you for, all this time. Now what? And dude, that was it wasn't a dark time because, I would always have a plan, like what's next type of deal. But it was a flash in the bottle. Like, oh my gosh, this is miserable.
You would think they'd have a way to buy. I've talked to a couple guys now about that very thing. And I've watched it. I mean, nothing worse than the green room thing where they've sat there and they haven't even told them. I mean, like that's it times 1,000. Like, but it's same thing. Like it might. I don't know if that's worse or better than you're sitting there and you got your 50 best friends over, and it's like you would think they could throw you a bone. Like
come on.
Like every team could at least go. Like you could go. Am I gonna? Especially if you're 7th round, it's not like it shouldn't be that much intel at that point. I wouldn't think. Like, are you? And you sign some agreement that you won't tell anyone, so they don't.
Right.
And so so that you don't over plan for it.
Right.
Couldn't they
that
do
would be
that?
Nice to know.
Wouldn't it be nice to know?
Because it's crazy is we actually I got a call from the Cowboys in the 5th round. They were probably 5-6 picks away, which would have been a great spot. I mean, there's a lot of money in the 5th round, and Dallas would have been amazing. And I get a call from, I believe it was the offensive line coach. It's been, suppressed out of my memory now. And he calls. He says, "Hey, man, we love you. If we take an offensive lineman here, you're the guy." And I'm freaking out. I'm like, "This is amazing." Yeah. And then the call never comes. They take like a cornerback, and the rest of the draft. I maybe had one thing in the 7th. And then that was it. And you're just like,
what happened?
Because it's even more awkward because a lot of those guys, some people kind of like what you said, they go into it and have these kind of free agent things already signed. Mm-hmm. Well, I didn't. So you're talking about a full 24 hours of silence. And I'm just like, this is crazy. Like, do I just move on? Like, is this it? This is over. And, so the next day I hear from the Panthers, we do like the mini camp thing, go up there. And I'm excited, right? Because it's right here, hometown. My wife, that's like her favorite team and her family's favorite team. So this is awesome. This is going to be a cool, kind of story to tell. Man, I get up there and they had drafted a 1st round defensive end, defensive tackle kind of guy. And in the first, spent a lot of money on him. I go up there and, dude, I kill that dude. Like, I'm just murdering him. One-on-one pass rush, all these different drills. I'm feeling great. And, I'm thinking clearly making this team. And they kind of have a meeting with a lot of guys in there. And they say, "Hey, we're so sorry the way the numbers are. We've got to cut you, but we want you guys to stay healthy." And I'm looking around like, no way. Like, there's nothing else I could have done. There's no way I could have done better. And, so then I have kind of a one-on-one meeting with the GM and the offensive line coach. And they're like, "Hey, man, we really like you. It's just a numbers thing. We need this position. We don't need, but stay healthy, keep working out. Maybe by week 7 or 8, we'll call you if somebody gets hurt." And I'm just like, no, that's not how this is about to go.
So
I can either sign right
to this
now or
day. So to this day, can you say? I mean, do you? Sometimes we think about things in the moment, and then you think about long up. But to this day, do you feel like you more than were better than maybe guys that were making the team?
Oh yeah.
And I mean, you're a badass. It doesn't surprise me to hear that. No, but you were a great player. I mean, 100%. It's anybody that doesn't know, Gramlich Mac Lain was a badass offensive lineman. So,
and let me tell you this, though. I'll take it a step further. Guys that I'm covering right now in my job, I see them at the next level. I'm like, bro, how did I not make this? Is crazy.
So, but they gave you nothing. Like, no one to this day is really giving you
just the timing. Just the timing thing.
Yeah.
Just the timing thing. And so I reversed it on him though, because I'm about to get married. I'm not, number one, just sitting around not being paid.
Yeah.
And number two, I'm not going to jump all across the country on some practice squad hoping and praying something happens.
Yeah.
So I kind of flipped it on them and said, here's the deal. I'll sign right now and this will be great. Or I'm done. And they were shocked, man. They're like, what? Like, what are you talking about? No way. And I said, yeah, that's kind of how it is. And they said, well, we're sorry. So I walked out of that thing, man. And I called my wife first, and, she's devastated because obviously that's what we've done. My whole life, her whole life too. Her dad grew up playing football. Her brother plays football. So our lives have been football. And so it obviously very sad for me. And then just kind of the what's next thing. The next call is to my parents. And then the third one is to Graham Neff at Clemson. And I kind of say, hey, I just got cut. I'm done. I want to finish my master's and I don't want to pay for it. And he said, we'll see you on Monday. We'll figure it out. And that was kind of the beginning of a business, Eric Mac Lain.
I not fully. I think I knew the Panthers thing, but I did not fully know like that you didn't like seek out other things and like that you just kind of drew it. Was it just like, well, but Eric, look, it's proven out how talented you are on and off the field. No, I mean, I'm serious. I'm going to brag for you, like and I think some people don't know that they have other options. And I think, you had dabbled in some things and, shown your worth on and off the field in building relationships, being good at speaking with people and, just overall, I don't know, acumen for how to be a business person. And I think that superseded any ability on the field. So I think that sets you up. And you knew that on some level,
right.
And maybe that and just pride and stubbornness combined. Who knows?
That's right.
We all know who that is. I got the T-shirt and the the lashings and everything else to go with it. But
100%.
I mean, but no other did other teams ever call? Did everybody ever?
One team called in September, and it was actually the Tennessee Titans, which would have been great too, being from Tennessee. And I told them I'm done. And they were just as shocked too. They're like, are you kidding me? I said, yeah, just take me off the list, man. It's all good.
It's crazy. But I think you knew, maybe you wanted to do what you're doing. You knew there was
I will say there was maybe not right in that moment, but maybe a week or so later, there was almost a freedom of it, because that's how you had been identified, how I had been identified my whole life. Oh, it's a football. This is Eric, the football player, and that, there was something about that chapter being closed and not, just identifying like that, which I never did personally because there's so much more to life. But, not having that. But then it is, funny. That game will always pull you back. You're always right back in it some way or another.
Well, now now you're there. So what? Where did we go from there, and what got you all the way to today?
Yeah, crazy. So did the graduate, assistantship with Clemson, was kind of with football and basketball and baseball with a bunch of different things there. So have a natty ring. I was on that team just in a different capacity. So I did that for about 9 months, and then a new venture was coming to Clemson in JMI Sports. I'm not sure if you ever ran across with those guys.
Yep.
So I sold for them for really like 2.5 years or so, maybe, which was. It was funny at the time. Dan Radakovich called me in his office and just was like, hey, this is happening. We think it would be a really good kind of foundational piece for you because he knew I wanted to go into college athletics from the administrative route. We think you should take it. It's a sales role, blah, blah, blah. You kind of see a different vantage point that a lot of people don't with these multimedia rights. And so at the time I was just like, maybe. And he's like, no, I really think you should do it. So I go and do it kind of hesitantly. And man, that has been one of the biggest blessings of my life because it was basically another grad school, right? A real life degree where I'm learning how to sell. I'm learning marketing. I'm learning law and contracts and how to just sit and have a meeting, how to set up a meeting, with somebody and how to cold call, like all these attributes that, we teach and coach, when you're in school, but, to have this real life learning for 2 years and some change has been an unbelievable foundation for me that I still use to this day with the podcast. And you see this sponsor right behind me with Ingalls and, all these different things that I never would have ever thought about taking that route if it wasn't placed, kind of in my way there. So I'm forever grateful for that time. And, it's such a fun piece that I can pull from and learnings and different things that we did there. So Did that for about 2 years in Greenville. And then our national championship season in 18, where we're just killing everybody, kicking everybody's tail. We're out in California for the Natty. And, we went a couple of days early as a family, and we're doing all these different things. And kind of within that, I had been doing the fifth quarter show for Clemson, which is a radio show after the game, 90 minutes. You're talking about all different kinds of things. So I kind of dipped back into, a little bit of media there on top of my sales stuff. So I was out there for that as well, but also just as a fan. So, we're out and about with the family and doing all these things. And I get a call from a guy and, answer, say, hey, how you doing? This is so-and-so from ESPN. And all I'm thinking is, he wants an interview. He wants to talk about the game, me being a former captain, playing in a national championship. And I had done a lot of that with various outlets leading up. So I'm like, hey, what's up? And they're like, hey, we're out in California. Are you here? We'd love to meet up, talk about the game. And I was like, oh, man, we're in San Francisco. Maybe talk to you later, kind of blow them off.
Yeah.
Next day, text me, hey, are you at the hotel? Which it was our hotel, but I wasn't there. It's like, hey, can you come to the lobby? Would love to talk again. I'm like, no, I'm in Carmel. Sorry. See you later. So I'm blowing this person off, thinking that it's a writer or thinking it's a TV person, whatever. And, so then fast forward to Monday, the game. He goes, hey, I know you're going to the game. Can we meet up at the game somewhere? And so now I'm kind of like, this is weird. Like, why does this person keep texting me? It's so strange. And I was like, hey, I'm kind of testing them, right?
Yeah.
I was like, hey, can you get on the field? Like, let's meet on the field, seeing if they're really ESPN or not. And they're like, oh, that's perfect. So I'm like, okay, this is legit. And, so I text them. They're saying, hey, we're wrapping up TV. I'll come over there in a second. So I'm like, okay, this is, I don't know who because I've Googled this person's name. It's nowhere. I'm like, who the heck is this? And so then I called them when they say they're walking over because I don't see anybody who I think I'm looking for. And I see a person answer their phone. He's in like khaki pants, an untucked polo, a vest on. And I'm like, there is no way this person was just on TV. Like, what is happening? This is so weird. And they come over, shake my hand, act like we're, best friends, all this stuff, very personable, and starts asking me all these questions about the game. Like, what do I think is going to happen? Da-da-da. And they're not writing anything down. Because, again, now I'm thinking they're a writer. They're not on TV. They're a writer. Not writing anything down, not recording anything. And I'm getting kind of mad, right? Because I'm like, I want to go tailgate with my family. Like, what are we doing here? And
you're in a job interview and you don't even know it.
right. I'm killing I'm just ruining the interview. And then this guy hits me with a very transitional matter of fact. So there's going to be some new opportunity coming with ESPN. We would like you to fly you up to Bristol next week and see if you want to be a part of the team. And bro, I blacked out. I didn't know. I was like, what?
Did you fall down or did you?
Yeah. Like, what are you talking about? And totally, I don't even know what I said. I guess I said yes because I was on the plane. And it was so crazy because I was happy. We're in Greenville, we're doing our thing and all this stuff, not looking for anything. And again, God just puts something in your path. And my wife and I were like, this isn't real life. And I would have done it no matter what. But it obviously made a lot of sense for a lot of different reasons. And man, fast forward, this is my 5th football season, and the relationships that I've created, the brothers that I work with, it's truly, I literally have to pinch myself at times to hope that I'm not about to wake up. But it's incredible, to be able to do this.
Yeah, man. If you watch football at all, you've probably caught Eric on the ACC Network, with Mark Richt. And right. Who else is on your regular show? You got the quarterback,
EJ, that's right.
Yeah, EJ.
Eddie Royal played at Virginia Tech.
That's
and our
right.
host is Kelsey Riggs.
Kelsey, yes. You guys are doing a great job. It's but it's interesting. The ACC Network just got started. Like when you were like at the ground up, the production quality's increased every year. Like it's like it now feels kind of like a grown up show. I mean, I mean. And I don't even mean that disrespectfully. It's like everything takes time, but like I think
it's true.
But now it's like all the promos, everything seems a little tighter and better, and like the team, you guys all riffed off each other good. You got good chemistry. It's fun. What's Mark like? Mark Richt like?
He's the best. He really is. And it is. I'm very grateful that we had our early years that I met him. Before he was announced and with Parkinson's and
Yeah.
obviously that has taken a toll on him, but he's truly one of a kind as a human being. I mean, it has been such a great example for me as a young man, especially more at the first time I met him, just how to love your wife, man, how to, care for her, your children, how to be a great dad. And, has been an unbelievable example, for me. And I hope he knows that. I tell him it all the time. I'm sure he does. And then to develop, as friends and to, text and call and, hang out outside of work, with one another. And that goes for our whole team. It's truly amazing, but he's one of the best, man. Witty as all get out, has created, not just learned, has created more football. And when you talk about offenses, than I'll ever even know. And is just truly one of a kind human being. So he makes us better, man. And it's a joy to work with him every Saturday.
Yeah, he seems kind of like the Wiley, he's over there sitting there and you're like, he's got kind of like, but he still looks so young, so like, I know how old he is and I know but he's the Wiley veteran kind of sitting there like letting you guys coordinate the thoughts and but he knows, but because he's, right, lived and breathed it for so long. No, but I've never met him, but everybody lights up when they talk about him, like in that positive way, just that he's a great guy.
And he's been a part of some great stuff. I mean, you talk about Florida State back in the 90s. I mean, pretty much inventing the fast break, offense for football. Then Georgia, the things he was able to do, and, to bring Miami back to a respectable kind of point there. He's done it all, man. He's a cool cat.
Yes, exactly. And you'll understand this because you got them behind you, but I have to pause to give a little shout out to one of our sponsors, Caldera. Hey, Eric, I'm 46, baby. I can't, I don't have that baby face like you anymore. I have to have my products,
That's right.
So Caldera Lab, the premium men's skincare delivered right to your home, the official skincare provider of the Radcast. And Ryan offered, use Rad Ryan. You'll get 20% off. And, I'm trying to keep up with Eric and, removing my years. So
you got it. You got it, big dog.
Yes, CalderaLab.com. Official skincare provider of me. And follow me on social media. You'll learn more about Caldera Lab. We're doing all kinds of fun things with the partnership.
And if you want to learn from me directly, join my newsletter, RyanOffer.com/newsletter. Sign up. I give daily advice on marketing, personal branding, podcasting, life. Give that a shout. Join that. It's free. It's daily. Just like this show, we give away our best advice.
Transitioning back, Eric, so now you got the podcast, you and Kelly. I know you talked about that being a little bit more the entrepreneurial, probably changing your path. You probably use all your skill sets that you learned on that job you were talking about, the marketing, the contracts, and all that. Talk about the podcast a little bit.
Oh, man, it's been incredible. And it's so funny. Kelly and I have known each other since we, both started at Clemson, and again, me being a hooper, I was kind of gravitating towards the basketball team at times, especially summer. We're the only people up there. There's no, it's just athletes on campus. And so you all kind of mix together, especially that freshman class. We're the same age. And, I just love to hoop. And so, kind of met her through that. And, our friendship really developed. And, then it really, took it to another level when we both kind of got done with Clemson and got into the media world. Her obviously starting at CCP, had written, for Clemson and done a bunch of stuff there. And then when the network launched, I called my guy right away. I mean, I don't even know this cat, but I call him and say, hey, I know we need basketball people. Go get Kelly Gramlich. Like, she's unbelievable. Played, great shooter, all these things, meet all the qualifications. And, obviously they did that and she's been a home run, but we always wanted to do something together, whether it was radio, try to do some type of TV show, something. And then as we kind of were brainstorming that after our first full season with ESPN, the world shuts down. COVID happens, and we're just like, what the heck do we do? What are we going to figure out? How can we do this and that? And we're like, let's just do a podcast. And so we took about probably 2 to 3 months, man, of just planning. Like, we knew we were going to do it. How do we want to lay it out? I need artwork. We need show title, all these different things so that when we start, it looks like we've been doing this for a while. So that was October of 20. Now fast forward, 3-4 football seasons, we're in 23. And, it's funny. I kind of told her I don't know if we'll make money off this. I think that we can sell it, kind of with my background. And, funny enough, we got a sponsor probably within 3 months, Sunshine Beverage. I'll never forget them. Our first ever guys there out of, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And that's when I was like, okay, this can be for real. Like we can do some cool stuff. If we continue to grow our celebrity on TV and we mash that together in something that we can control and sell, there's something really cool here. To now, we have a multi-year deal with Ingles. They've been an unbelievable sponsor. There's still room to add other things. We didn't, totally exclusivity and, kind of map it out there. So that has been so much fun, and to just see how it grows. I mean, I know all of this as well with what you're doing, but we went from, doing stuff over Zoom to doing stuff over Riverside, just audio, to then saying, well, why the heck aren't we tapping into this video element and into that? And then just now it's all about the growth and the guests and how can we, magnify this thing even more with social media. So it's been a lot of fun to see it grow, man.
Yeah, man. You guys are doing a great job. What would you call the overall topics? Like, for anybody listening that might want to check it out, like what do you got? What's the overall subject matter of the show?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Really we started as trying to be kind of a subset of Packer and Durham. Like we wanted to be, kind of the all ACC sports. We're going to talk about all that from our perspective, a little bit younger, haven't played, obviously at that level. And so that's what we started year one. And what we found, man, is when we got to like, February or March, and if we did like one spring football episode, it spiked like crazy. Like the viewership, the numbers were nuts. And it's not just Clemson football. This is, all ACC football. And so that summer, man, we had a big conversation and we're just like, look, I know you play basketball. I know you love basketball. I think we should move this to just an ACC football podcast. And funny, she had no hesitation. She's like, I agree. I mean, I see these numbers too. And so that's what we do, man. College football with a primary focus on ACC football. During the year, we go 3 episodes a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Kind of in the spring season, off season, we do 2 a week. And that's all kind of NFL Combine, spring ball, things that are happening. And then really around May to July, we go 1 episode, and it's a big guest. Like we're trying to have a heavy hitter, a Kirk Herbstreit type, somebody in the sports area. And those have been unbelievable too. The people that we've met and stories we've told there have been a lot of fun.
Yeah. So anybody out there that follows ACC football, or if you don't, you need to come on in, check out Eric and Kelly's show. You'll love, if you love watching Eric and you're listening to him now, he is one of the nicest guys in the industry, and we need to give him some love. So go boost some numbers over there on Eric and Kelly's show. But hey, man, everybody, talking about a little about like your professional journey and what you've done, and like a lot of people here think about sports and working in sports and like what it takes to do that. I remember growing up thinking, I'd love to work in sports and all that sort of thing. Like now that you do it for a profession, and you're becoming a pro, are a pro. What's been maybe like the biggest aha transition, like, or surprise in what it takes to be a pro in this arena? Like, what do you feel like has maybe been the most eye-opening, or, something that people maybe not realize?
How much film you have to watch. Like, think about it like this, man. When I was a player, I watched one team every week, and that's it. I focus on South Carolina, and I'm going to know everything that they do. In this role, especially, it's a little bit easier for me because I'm a conference-affiliated network. I have to watch all 14 schools each and every week and know what they're doing, why they're doing it. And then here's the kicker. If they're playing out of conference, then I have to watch 28 schools. And so it's a lot of time, man. And I think the most interesting thing about that was the initial, like, okay, you got to hunker down and really, if you want to be great, I could be good and talk about ball and, what we did back in the day, all these different things. But if I want to tell you what these teams are doing and what they're going to do, or what I think they're going to do, that takes some real effort. But I'll tell you, the biggest kind of growing piece for me was going into year 3, coming kind of out of COVID. If we're out now, I don't know if we are or aren't.
Yeah,
and
it's hard to know.
Time management thing of, I don't have to cram all of this right now at this time for two reasons. Number one, you're going to burn out and you're just going to be exhausted. Number two, things change so much with transfer portal, with all these different things, to where, hey, if I crammed for the year in July, come September, these guys that I just studied might not even be on the team. You know what I'm saying? So it's all this wasted
can't
work
get ahead
to where you've got to segment it out, and you have to understand the ebbs and flows of the season and the changes that can be had. And, I think that balance really started to come into my life, and being able to find that going into the third season there.
And that's what people don't realize, like how much of a pro like Eric and these guys are. I mean, he's an analyst, and and I think if I say that about stocks, then I think you think like something else. But no, these guys are putting the work in. Like, they don't just turn the camera on and Eric magically can look at the film while he's talking and go, oh yeah, that's what they're running, and that's that guy's name, and I know who that he just had an issue that his father was having. It takes work, man. I mean, it doesn't just come. And I think that's where, you're really starting to shine as a pro with your analysis. And hey, man, we might have to have a part two, but I know we only got just a few minutes of your time left. Well, NIL, man, I know we can't cover it in 3 minutes, but
sure.
Is it good, bad, or indifferent? Is it the Wild West? I mean, what's your perspective?
The way that it is right now, and the way that, there are different rules for different states. There's different rules for different institutions. There's different rules just wherever you are regionally. I think is terrible for where we are. We either need, kind of national federal rules, or we need no rules. Like, it can't be this weird middle ground that we are, because number one, it's not fair. Different schools are held to different standards and have different resources and are allowed to do different things, and, all these different things. And I think it's, number one, how do you keep track of it? It's crazy to do that. The lack of monitoring is baffling to me. And really where it is right now, Ryan, is not at all how it was presented in regards to this. This is what happens now. If you're ex-player, you come to me, whether you're a recruit or a transfer, you come to me as the head coach and say, I need $50,000 to come here. What? Okay. Go find it. That's the principle. The principle to me is, I have the right to sell my name. I have the right to go fund when I can chase it. I can sign with an agent. I can get it done. Not, here's my hand, fill it up with money.
Yeah.
That's not the thing to me. Now, if you want to go out and sell and have conversations and hold camps and use your social media, that's amazing. But that's not the case, man. And it's baffling to me. I've heard horror stories on both sides, from the player that's done all this stuff with their social media and hasn't gotten paid, and also from the companies that have paid these players up front. And when it comes time for content, or it comes times to activation, players nowhere to be found. So it's a tough spot right now. Obviously, the haves and have-nots are just even furthering away from each other. I hope that we can get some type of federal help here, just to play everybody to play by the same rules. That's all I want. That's all I think that's fair for everybody. We'll see if that happens. We'll see if it happens.
Well said. It's complicated, but I don't think it has to be quite the wild west and complicated as it is. I think it could be simplified. So hopefully we get there. Eric, where can everybody keep up? I mean, all they have to do is turn to the ACC Network. They're going to see your grill right there shining, saying something smart, saying something funny. But where can everybody keep up with you, brother?
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. Anywhere on social media, man, Instagram, Twitter, Eric Mac Lain right there, and then the podcast, Gramlich and Mac Lain, wherever. We prefer YouTube. Get those numbers up, baby, but it's wherever you can find it. You just want to listen to it in the car on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all those things, and, of course, ESPN and ACC Network. We have a good time, man, and I appreciate you. This was so much fun, man. We got to do it again.
I know. I think we have to have a quarterly Mac Lain.
Right.
Maybe we'll make it whatever it is. We'll talk football. We'll talk, whatever the heck's happened. Being a dad, I know you got a beautiful daughter, and appreciate you from coming on. Hey guys, you know where to find us, theradcast.com. Search for Eric Mac Lain. You'll find all the highlight clips today. We'll have links to the Mac Lain Podcast, the Gramlich Mac Lain Podcast, all of Eric's stuff, and you know to find me. I'm at Ryan Alford, that blue check mark, way before you could buy it. We'll see you next time on the Radcast.
To listen or watch full episodes, visit us on the web at theradcast.com or follow us on social media at our Instagram account, the.rad.cast, or at Ryan Alford. Stay radical.